Thank you for participating in this session. And my name is Avgoustos Tsinakos. I came from the ITMA lab from the Eastern Macedonia and Thrace Institute of Technology in Kavala, Greece. And the topic that we are going to explore today has to do with use of augmented reality, and especially the platform we call ARTutor, which will be used in order to enhance the content of books and educational material in general. Few words regarding the background. There is a short delay in the presentation, as I can see. Let me check. Okay, a few words about me. You can have an idea. Most of the activities that I'm involved recently, part of my time is shared between the research lab that I'm directing, which is called AETMA lab. It mainly focuses on mobile application developments with the use of augmented reality and virtual reality. I'm also associated to the Open University of Canada, Athabasca University, and I am the director of the Long Life Learning Institute in my university, and also related to the UNESCO chair, the educational section of UNESCO chair, CONICT in northern Greece. Part of my international activities are also expanded to the International Association of Blended Learning, and part of my activities are also associated with the Ministry of Education here in Greece. A few words where I came from. As you can see, Greece is spotted in the red cycle in the area and the lower area of Europe, and Kavala, the institution that I came from, you can see the red area, the red arrow above the north part of Macedonia here. Here is a nice view of the city. Actually, this photo was taken from my office, and here is a view of the campus of the Eastern Macedonian Thrace Institute of Technology, where I'm located right now for this webinar. Prior of the presentation, I would like to thank people from the Willy project for this invitation, and of course you for participating in this session. So, a few words regarding the background of the topic that we are going to discuss, and the point that we're standing. We're facing the challenge that we are the last generation who still is more intelligent than the existing technology. And another issue that we have to acknowledge is that there is a big shift in the humanity. So most of us, we have turned from Homo sapiens to what is really called as Mobo sapiens. And well, this is not a very well-known anthropological definition for the evolution of the humankind, but we can say this as a part of this presentation. As most of us, we are addicted to the use of mobile devices, regardless the age of the user. And this big shift have also changed the way we learn, and in some cases we have to realize that the traditional way of learning becomes boring, and not attractive to the young students. So for us in the ATMA lab, there is a big challenge. If we can do something better, and how we can improve or enhance, so let's say, the learning process without changing or without involving high-end of technology devices, which are typically quite expensive. And that's why we used the approach of employment augmented reality in education. The main ideas behind this is that we shall find a way to augment content in available school books or books in general. The objective also is to increase the user interaction with the material and to immerse the learner into the content. The premises behind this is that when you are providing, let's say, a specific application to students, in most cases, students are distracted from the learning material itself or from the book. It's something that we would like to avoid in our case. So we would like to have highly engaged students with the material. And as you can see, the involvement of augmented reality in education is not something new. It's innovative, but it's not very new. Has some advantages where you can see that students are really attracted to the use of this kind of technology. It makes the process of knowledge transfer more efficient and provide some digital experience in a variety of domains. And also some prior efforts have been done on this topic. Some limitations have been highlighted, especially when you are using QR codes as part of the printed material. Where, let's say, you have to touch and modify the physical layout of a book, which by adding a specific QR code within the book. So this is a limitation here because you need a different version of the already printed book, which will cause additional budget for the government if the government is printing the books. Or sometimes some applications have been developed that are really domain dependent and they are not reusable in other school topics. And in some cases, the software requires specialized personnel to develop, and the content is quite static. So how we can overcome or at least remedy this limitation? For the past 3 years, we've been working on a platform that is called ARTutor, Augmented Reality Tutor, and this is the main platform and the main topic that I'm going to present as part of this session. The ARTutor is comprised of 2 different sections. One section has to do with the authoring tool, which is web-based and is used for the creation of the book and, of course, for the upload and the addition of augmentation. And the second part of the ARTutor involves the client or the mobile application, where somebody can or someone can download this application, which is available either for Android environment or for iOS. And the client part is used mainly for the selection of the book that you would like to see, the presentation of the augmentations, and of course the interaction with the augmentation. And here are two quite innovative components that are present in ARTutor, and I will explain them later on. But as a title, here we can say that the innovation in our case is relying on to the fact that you can use your voice to interact with the augmentation, and of course you can use your voice to ask questions regarding the content of the book. What are the advantages here? That according to our approach with the use of ARTutor, we follow the philosophy of a typical web-based program, like let's say Facebook, where you don't need a specific computing science background to use. So because ARTutor is supposed to be used in schools or in any educational environment, we took the premise that you don't have to have a computing science background. You need the average skills of digital skills of someone who's using a web browser, for example. The second premise is that we don't need any markers. ARTutor can also work with markers, but markers are not necessary in order to trigger the augmentation. So we don't touch the physical layout of the book or the educational content that we would like to enhance. ARTutor, as you can see in the slide, can work either with the printed version of material, or this is another unique feature, can work with the PDF version itself. So ARTutor can take as input the PDF file. And we know that PDFs in this format, many educational books or educational or training materials exist in the form of the PDF. So any PDF available, it is quite suitable to be used by the ARTutor platform. Another advantage is that all books are freely available and visible from the application. And augmentation used are the most common type of augmentations that can be used and are quite popular on the internet. So there is no specific restriction. One of the advantages here is that this application is free for use for educational purposes. So there is no cost associated on the use of either as a teacher or as an author of a book. And there is no cost, of course, if you're going to use ARTutor as a student. I'm going to proceed with a description of the authoring environment, a few slides regarding the authoring environment, and then there is a specific video that we can see with a detailed description of some sections on how you are going to use, or how you can use ARTutor. And I hope that this will provide a better idea how the whole platform works, either from the authoring environment, but as well from the client environment. So if everything evolves quite well so far, please just send a typical yes in the chat box, so that will verify that you are following me in the whole presentation. As you can see, in the authoring environment is used for the development of the book, for the creation of the book. You can drag and drop any PDF file, and then you can associate some augmentations with specific areas of the page. So you can associate an augmentation either to a picture on a specific page or a part of the text on specific PDF page. And as you can see, the typical accepted types of augmentation are images, audio files, video files, and of course 3D models. We assume that most of the students and the teachers are able to create images, audio, and video files, because those type of augmentations can be used by any smartphone, for example. The use of 3D models requires more advanced skills, and also some 3D models exist free in the web for educational purposes. Someone should have some different skill set in order to develop a 3D model for a specific course, for example. The mobile application, as I said earlier, is compatible with iOS and Android platforms. And usually, via this application, you can select the book that you would like to see, and then you are using the interface of the application in order to explore the content and to find out the typical augmentations that exist within the book. All the books are uploaded to a specific server, and this is a server that we own here in the university. Here are some typical snapshots of augmentations that are available, and you can have a better idea on this during the video session that the video demo that I'm gonna demonstrate later on. So on your left-hand side, you can see a 3D model, and on the right-hand side, you can see a video. And the innovative part here is that especially with 3D models or with other augmentations, you can easily interact with those augmentations. You can start, stop the video, zoom in, zoom out, and commands related to the speech recognition involve English and Greek. And currently we are working on the French language, because part of the development team, the team of the developers comes from France under the CC scholarship. Another feature that is quite unique in the ARTutor is that the student can ask questions in a natural language form. There is a specific information retrieval algorithm that is used, which runs and reads the whole content of the PDF. And when a student asks a question, tries to find the best answer to this question. This is not a quite simple process. It requires a lot of resources, and there is a lot part of coding with the employment of artificial intelligence, intelligent agent behind this process of question and answering process. But all the answers are not pre-stored. They are dynamically created based on the voice interaction between the user and the content. Part of this development has been made in order to improve the immersion of the student with and the engagement of the student with the material, the educational material. But another option, another view of this advantage is related to students who are dealing with some kind of disability, and they are unable to use their hands. So, but they have the ability to interact with the voice, with their voice. So ARTutor takes also under a serious consideration of those students who have this kind of disabilities and enable the triggers of the augmentations using voice commands also. I would like to demonstrate a short video of how the platform works, and we can explore both the part of authoring tool and the part of the client of the mobile application. At the first part, you will see how a book is created. So you can sign with your Google account, or you can use a different way of signing. And here you can create a book. You can set up a title, and of course you can give any kind of description that you would like. And you select the category where your book should be indexed, and then you drag and drop the related PDF file. In our case, this PDF file is a PDF that is derived by the Wikipedia. You can see how this PDF is uploaded, and then you can select, for example, the type of language that you are going to use, and save the book. After the book is created, you can proceed to the part of augmentation creation, where you can add a new asset to a specific part of the book. As you can see, you can give a short description that this is a 3D model, for example, of the PDF. And here, what you are doing is you are browsing the pages of the PDF. You upload it, and then you select an area in a specific page, and this is the place where the 3D model should be uploaded and presented. Once the 3D model is uploaded, you can assign a different kind of commands here, like rotate, or enlarge, or shrink, and these are voices that can be activated either by touching the screen or by voice interaction. This part now has to do with the client part of ARTutor, the mobile application. And here you can see by browsing the library of ARTutor, you can select a specific book, and there is a short description, and you download the data, and here you can start with the hard copy part of the book, try to find out where the augmentations are available. So here you can see how a 3D model appears, and here are how you can interact with this 3D model. You can rotate and change the scale.
Shrink. Rotate. Enlarge. Enlarge. Fly. Fly.
Unknown command.
As you can see, the user can provide specific voice commands, and the augmentation interacts according to the voice command. And if there is a command that is not defined, or is not known by the ARTutor, you got an error message. In the next part of the video, what you're going to see is the process of asking a question in a natural language form. And keep in mind that the answer is not pre-stored in any device. It is a dynamic process that it is produced synchronously after the student has posed a question.
Command.
Question: Olympics.
In the Olympics, Team GB is used by the British Olympic Association to represent the Great Britain and Northern Ireland Olympic team.
Okay, back to the presentation. The question that was asked by the student was related to the history of Olympics. You can use the whole sentence, not just a keyword. And the answer was not part of the page that the student was scanning. The answer came from the whole PDF. So the ARTutor agent looked through the whole information that was included in the PDF and extract the most appropriate answer for the student. We try to evaluate the use of ARTutor. So we have a lot of users from Greece and from other areas in Europe, but also from Canada, USA, and Mexico. And during the last semester, we did some crash tests on ARTutor with 200 students working on parallel with the platform. We managed to augment, let's say, 15 books, and we were trying to evaluate using the sections framework and the SUMI questionnaire how ARTutor, if the ARTutor was a useful component, if it was, let's say, attractive authoring tool for the students and the teachers. And we got some really good results, especially positive points were related to the fact that the platform is free for everyone to use. Requires no prior skills, computational skills, and of course that it's quite impressive for the users that they can interact with their voice with the augmentations. So some conclusions, and I think then we can have some time for discussion. The answer to all this pedagogical shift that we are experienced in the last decades with the use of smartphones and the use of augmented reality and virtual reality is that we can use a platform like ARTutor, which is free for educators and can be used to augment any book as it is domain independent and can be used in the school environment in order to explore, let's say, how the content can be improved from part of the instructor, but also we would like to explore how the students would improve the content of their school book. The main objective here is to find the optimum way to enhance the learning process and having the instructor, but also the student immersed in the educational material. Some of the fields that we are working this year is the improvement of the query or question and answering system. Since this is everything that is built in ARTutor is an in-house development, so we do not depend on a third party for any implementation. We would like to integrate augmentations that are location triggered. That means that if you are a school class that you are going on a field trip, to use ARTutor in an open environment. And of course, we would like to explore how ARTutor will be used in a primary school. and what will be the benefit of using ARTutor in primary schools and high schools, and how it will affect the learning process. So I hope that ARTutor could be a good solution for the educators to adopt, and I hope you liked the presentation so far. Typically, this is the end of the presentation, and I would like to give the floor to any one of the attendees who would like to ask some questions or discuss, or if you have any comments. You can use the chat box, or you can let me know in order to activate microphones, or you would like to speak and have a more vivid interaction. Are there any questions so far, or things that you would like to discuss? Well, to answer the question about the 3D models, typically we use 3D models that are available freely available on the internet, but you can use any kind of 3D any software that produces 3D model, and right now we are exploring how we can use 3D models created by Unity, for example, to be instantly integrated in the ARTutor. Michael, if you would like further information, I can activate your microphone, and let me see. I don't know if I have this option. No. Okay. Any other question, Michael? Are you okay with my answer regarding 3D models? Yeah. You can freely download both the application part. You can go to the Google Play or the iOS store, and of course you can try and play with both the authorware environment and the client. I have to. Oh yes, okay. I have to say that currently you are working on the 2.5 version of ARTutor, because we moved from CUDAN to the easy AR trigger mechanism, because CUDAN for some reason decided that it would charge some fees on the trigger, on the use of their trigger mechanism. So we moved away from CUDAN and we turned to easy AR, the trigger mechanism. And we are revising a lot of the code, a lot of big parts of the code of ARTutor, especially related to the activation of 3D models. Discussing the question raised of how ARTutor could work with Moodle, it was part of the presentation I gave last November, I think, in Athens. What we proposed is that since in many Moodle sessions PDF exists as a book or as additional educational material, we can use ARTutor to augment these books, and we can have a plugin of the authoring environment that can be used via Moodle in order to augment the book itself. So the instructor has not to access a different platform, but they can access the ARTutor platform without leaving the Moodle environment. So that was the idea behind the integration of ARTutor as an additional module of Moodle. But still we are working on it, since we need the green light of Martin Duyamas in order to dispatch this additional tool for Moodle. Any other question? Of course, you can contact me in via email if you would like to use or to ask further questions. And what we are trying to do right now, answering the question about the use of ARTutor in schools, we come in agreement with two directions here in Kavala and in Drama, where we would ask from volunteers, teachers, to use ARTutor in their class. We are going to do this not because we would like to explore how the teachers can use ARTutor in their class. This is part of the research area. The main interest part for our lab is to explore how students would like to improve the existing educational material. It is a research that was never done before in Greece. Typically, we only ask teachers how to improve or what they would like to do in order to improve the educational material. No one has asked students so far. And using this platform, we can ask from the students to add augmentations on specific chapters of a book. And since ARTutor is domain independent, can be used either for history or for mathematics or for any other subject in school. So this is one of the most interesting parts that we would like to research. And we got the green light from the superintendents in Kavala and Drama. And of course, as a result of my last visit in Estonia, the local community of Estonian schools have expressed their interest to use this platform. The only restriction for them is that it is developed in English, but I don't know how this can be translated in their national language, but this is a topic that we can work on later. Yes, this is a very, very good question. I'm talking about the commercial version of the application. What we are trying to do, and this will be released quite soon, I think in the next 4 months. The plan is to have a part of the ARTutor that will be freely accessible and free for use forever. Let's say, I know it's a big saying that, it's a big issue to say this, but our intention is to have a guarantee-free use for educators. But also, we would like to develop some other options. Let's say if there is a company who would like to develop a material that is supposed to train a specific part of their personnel, and the company does not want to have this material for free, or it should be closed or accessed by a specific number of people, this could also be done. Another addition that we are trying to do right now is to have an option of let's say, professional subscription in the ARTutor, where someone can pay, let's say, an annual fee, or I don't know what will be the business model behind this. We're still working on it. In order to subscribe to the ARTutor as a professional, so he will be able to present part of his work by building either 3D models or developing if someone is able to develop 3D models and sell those 3D models via the ARTutor platform. This is another option that we are trying to explore and would like to provide to our users, because this will increase the community of the ARTutor users. Because somebody who can have some commercial solutions over or professional solutions over this platform. So it can work like App Store or like an Amazon store, but only for educational material. This is something that will be released in the next 3 or 4 months. Eleni, is that a quite sufficient answer for your question? I hope. So, thanks a lot. Are there any questions, more questions related to the use of the platform? I'm suggesting to try the ARTutor and give us some feedback, because as I mentioned earlier, we are working on the 2.5 version of ARTutor, and a lot of developments are going on at the current time. Some of them are trying to remedy some issues we had in the past, and some others trying to improve and incorporate new features. So your feedback is quite valuable for us. Okay, we are hoping that ARTutor will be widely used by educators and from students, of course, because it's a platform that can easily be used and can be used free of cost. And the good part is that it does not require a very costly equipment in order to see the results, the output of the augmentation. You don't need, for example, quite sophisticated set of wearable glasses or Oculus set or something like this. Any device that runs under Android or iOS can be used. So we hope that ARTutor will be the solution for those schools which do not have the budget or the funding to buy expensive equipment in order to benefit from the use of technology-based learning in their cases. So thank you very much. I hope to stay in touch. And thank you once more for the opportunity you gave me for this presentation.